Welcome back, leaders. This is Dr. Shante Scroggins, the founder of the Center for Legacy-Driven Leadership, where we train the future. How do we train the future? We do that through leader development and curriculum design with leader succession in mind. So we are in the midst of our mentoring leadership series. And if you caught the last episode, if you haven't, stop right now and do that. But if you caught the last episode, then we are bringing on the creatives. This is the creatives edition, part 2. So we will bring them on all together now. This is Brian Evans. This is my brother-in-law, Lamarr Nanton, and my sister, Pamela Nanton. And we are bringing them on to kind of wrap up this discussion on mentoring in the fashion industry. In our first segment, the previous video, what we talked about was their individual story, how they began, how they got started in the fashion industry, who influenced them, what mentoring looked like. And combined, I think, I'm not the math whiz, they are the math whizzes, but I know we definitely have over 60 years, I want to say of service, but over 60 years of experience. Wow. In this industry. So now, thank you all for coming back together. I'm going to just ask you to monitor your language because we're not sure what's going to come out with all the thank you. Thank you. All right.
Was that directed at me?
No.
I don't know.
No,
that was me.
Okay, but I think we're almost 100 years because I'm 34 years. Lamarr, you're 28. Yeah. Brian, you've been in for 36 or 34 years. Look at his face.
He's like, I'm not tapping.
I've been doing it since 1987. And you've been doing it since
100 years.
Yeah.
That's insane. All right. So that's that's perspective, right? That's perspective. Yo. Okay. So the question we're leading with is, I want to hear your take on.
It's all garbage.
That may be the answer, but but the question is, what is your all's take on fashion today? Would we be considered in a postmodern fashion type of age, the age of Project Runway, the age of televised, more simplified processes to get to stardom, people who don't necessarily want to go through almost 100 years of training and branching out on your own and taking big risks and working for companies and doing your time. Pam looks ready. You want to start?
I think everything that you said is so key, but it's a lot of fast fashion. And based on us coming out of the pandemic, I feel like a lot of people are wanting to do the Project Runways and the contests because they're wanting to do things they love. They're wanting to think about life differently. But then there's those people that, I feel like what me and Brian learned and what we did in the 80s, that most of those people, I don't see people that want to do what we did because there's no need to learn paper patterns anymore. There are still big name designers that have people, that have a team that do draping. So I think for myself, when I do start my next business, I've learned so much so I can take nuggets to do a little bit of fast fashion, but still do some slow fashion too. But the first word that comes to mind is sustainability. Everybody is, global warming. How can we do more with our fabric? How can we use more of the fabric for a style? Because I tell you, for custom fashion, it's a lot of waste. But we didn't care about it when we were working on it because we cared about making our client happy and beautiful.
Exactly. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you hold to your answer, Brian, that it's all garbage?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that it is fast fashion. Everything is fast right now, right?
Yeah.
You're fast to be a star. You can, get on Instagram and, wear barely no clothes, and then you become a star, and then now that you're a star, then you can do a cookbook because you can kind of cook, and so everything is fast, right?
Yeah,
So I don't
that's
know
a
if
good point.
there's any real foundation of knowing what you're doing, right? So I
Mhm.
think there is some value into knowing the real process, right?
Yeah,
I don't think you could be a good paper pattern make. I mean, a good computer pattern maker if you haven't messed with patterns at all.
That part.
If you haven't done any draping. I'm working with a pattern maker now, and I test him. It's stuff that's not hard for me, but he's like, "Oh my God, is it so difficult?" I'm like, "No, it's not. I've already figured it out. Giving it to you, so
yeah.
I can. It's just everything's fast." I
That's an
don't know if I
excellent
answered your question,
point.
but
That's
yeah,
an excellent point. Trained versus trending. You know,
exactly.
if not really, all you have to do is trend out there, go viral, and then you have a whole new career. What do you say, brother?
I second the trash, and I raise you.
Language.
I do think that there is a lot of, I think in the age of information now, because things are so fast out there, that the art part of the fashion industry is slowly dying, right? So because you have to produce so much and so quickly, that there isn't another way to do this and be sustainable, and to think about like the planet. And it's like all of this needs to like slow down, like slow your roll. Let's perfect things. Let's not make a whole bunch of trash that we gotta end up in a landfill, or that you can only wear twice,
Mhm.
where the seams start to pop. It's like it's a sad story to see, like the I used to say this all the time. It's like you go through New York and you go through the wholesale district, or you go and you see all the fashion companies over there, and I'm like, who is buying all this stuff?
All the people that are buying all of the cars that they make every day.
Yeah.
That too.
That part.
I'm like, where? I mean, where do the cars that don't sell go?
Yeah.
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Avis. They go to Avis.
Where the tire blows at 500 miles. Okay, we're moving. All right. So I want to piggyback on a statement that was made in one of your individual interview statements, and I'd like for you to all speak to it, if you will. Um, what it's like to tap out in a role or in a city. Pam mentioned doing all of the work in one city and having to move, having to relocate to find more opportunities. How does someone in the fashion industry who's steeped like you all are, or someone who's a newbie coming in, how do you navigate tapping out of the roles in a company or the roles in a city and moving? How did you all navigate making big changes? Lamarr?
Well, I want to start on this one. I think part of the problem is that for people of color, especially in the fashion industry, you had to move around in order to get promoted, right? So if you think about, like, for the most part, I don't think I've been at a company longer than 6 years, and I see, which is a long time. But I mean, usually it's 2 to 3 years, right? And it's like, okay, there's not gonna be no movement here. I need to figure out, like, if I'm gonna level up, I gotta go somewhere else, right? So it's like you have to be. I think now you might have more choices for that, but at the same time, you still have to be a little more conscientious about, like, where you're going, what you're doing, what's the plan, what's your plan, making sure that you're making those right jumps and moves.
Mhm.
Because the other side of it too is that you don't get a lot of those opportunities where you don't have a background in it, So I've been lucky in my career where I've been able to do both men's and women's, and I have about half of my experience in men's and half of my experience in women's. And I've also been able to do multiple categories, but that's a rarity
Okay.
in the
So,
industry. So usually it's like whatever your first job is, you locked into that like for life. So think about that really, really hard. If you want to do lingerie for the rest of your life, if that's the first job coming out of school, because the next job they look at you like, oh, but you only have lingerie experience, so I can't hire you.
It's
I can't
very
hire you to do
hard.
bottoms.
It's
It
hard
is.
to move around and
Yeah.
change.
It is. It is. So
so Lamar's a unicorn. We've established that Lamar's a unicorn.
Pam's a unicorn too.
she
Is she?
is.
Okay. So,
Well, because I'm a Capricorn.
Woo!
but Pam has already spoken to tapping out. What about you, Brian, with making the move from couture, navigating changes in your own business?
Well, you know what? I think that for me, I've always loved dresses. I think for me personally, it seemed as if the things that I wanted to design and had fun with had um, a very limited clientele, right? And so, in order for me to be able to kind of still do that, then what I did, which I hate now, is I kind of dumbed down my process, or I kind of, okay, I can do the dress for this amount. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of burned me a little bit, right? So I still love making dresses and doing all this stuff, and I've never really worked at a well, that's not true. Fashion company for more than maybe 4 years. Leslie Lux.
Yes, that's where he was my boss.
I think that was the longest time. And for me, I get really bored really quick, and so if there's not a challenge there, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah.
And so I tapped out after 9/11 and got into the restaurant and hospitality industry, which is, it's still kind of connecting customer service and fashion and style and, everything beautiful. It's just a different medium.
Absolutely.
Right.
You make a great statement, Brian, that segues us into another question I had down for Pam and Lamarr to address now. The tension or the struggle between what I love and am very precise and very strategic at doing. Brian mentioned having to dumb down his process. The tension between doing what I love and what I'm being asked to do. Can y'all speak to that? Because it does, there is that reduction. Brian spoke to that reduction and how it burns you. And I think my brother might have some wonderful words.
Looks like he's having a moment.
You just point if I need to beep you. And
I think that's the balance that you have to strike, right, between art and commercial and commercial art. Right. So art for the sake of art is great. And there are some times that you just want to you just have to get some things out, right? You got to work through this process. And I think there's the other side of like, how do I make this saleable? And whether or not I actually have to dumb this down in order for it to be saleable, right? Sometimes, and in owning our own business too, it was part of that process of, okay, if I make things too simple, then no one's going to be interested in it. So how do I strike the balance between like too fabulous and just fabulous enough, right? But then also like how do I also then start to price that, and how do I make the skill that I have and the expertise that I bring, how do I make sure that you're paying for that? Because I can make this fabulous dress and you'll buy it for $50.
Right.
But I'm making it for $50.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how do we strike the balance between that? Because like Brian was saying, people come and go, okay, well, yeah, that's all nice and stuff, but I only got $200 to spend on this. So and then you're like,
You need to go
David's
amazing.
bridal.
H&M down the street, all you want right there. It's like, this not China. Come
Right.
on.
Right.
You want me to make you a custom dress for $200,
And you 5 feet, you were afforded.
and that includes fabric.
I want to come back to that, but Pam, do you want to answer the tension between what I love to do and what they are asking me to do?
It's hard because I've always, except for 5 years, worked for a company. And the best entrepreneur experience I've had was with Ply Apparel with Lamarr. I've always had Scroggins Creations. I had My Bald Head, so going through cancer in 2005, I think my perspective changed. Maybe that really means my attitude got worse. I don't know. But it's just like that tension and that temper. It's like, I'm better than this. You're not creating a cure for any disease. This is not that important. And everybody above me in leadership doesn't even know how to make a pattern. How did you even get there? I said earlier, I have 34 years of experience. I should be more than just a manager. I'm not even a senior manager at my job. So the tension is hard. And then so much is going on in the world. I can't just erase and not think about that. So it's like, it's a challenge.
So you segue us into this will be our last question. Then I have a nice little trivia question to send us out on. But let's talk about pricing and value. Let's help our viewers understand, and you all can agree. Don't roll your eyes at me. I'm going to pick something basic that you are. Let's say I come to each of you and you price this, you value it, and you price it according to your standard. If I say, okay, we're going to pretend we're in a regular world again where I can just go out when I want and it's going to be a nice formal dinner, and I want something wonderful. I want something that takes me to my fashion avatar is Audrey Hepburn. So I want an Audrey Hepburn part funny face, part breakfast at Tiffany's. And I want something amazing. It can be a dress, it can be a two-piece, it can be whatever. And I really don't have a preference. I'm going to be the difficult customer who doesn't really have I don't know what I want. I know I want it green. How about that? I know I want it green, and I know I might want it in silk, and I know that because of my features, I would prefer a bateau neckline. So that's it. That's all I know. You do the rest, and y'all value this dress or this outfit, and you all help the people understand what this process is and how you would price. And whatever your vision is, you tell me what fabric it's going to be in. You tell me. And Audrey Hepburn had a line in the movie Sabrina, and in her dress, she said, it's yards and yards of skirt and way off the shoulder. And so that's what I love. Yards and yards of skirt.
I remember
I'll
that.
refer you to my friend Brian Evans.
Okay,
that's not my wheelhouse. That's not my
should Brian start? So
yes.
Pam would decline.
Yes.
Why would you decline? This is important for viewers to know. Why would you decline?
I'm a process. I want to partner with you. I want to see what you have in your closet. I want you to come with a point of view. I don't want to be the only one that has a point of view, and I don't want you to be disappointed, and I don't want to waste my time.
Pam says it's too much pressure for you to be undecided. So you got to come into this thing knowing what you want. So Pam says, no, ma'am. Brian?
What's your budget?
Ooh.
What is your budget?
So my budget is $500.
Okay, and you're wanting yards and yards of fabric and off the shoulder?
And wonderful for a formal dinner. In green.
Oh, okay, yeah, green. Okay. Well, you know what? I try to, you know what? It's so funny through my whole journey what I realized I enjoy doing is creating memorable moments for people. And so a memorable moment for you could be that green dress and, silk chiffon, emerald green with, bugle beads and all this whole kind of stuff. And if I can produce it at $500, I don't know how much you can get for that, but I'd like to do that because it's a challenge for me to be able to do it. I'm excited because it's creative. My friend Pam, where my singer go? My friend Pam, where she at? Huh? She's yelling at me all the time. Why are you doing that? You don't charge enough money, and I know you're enjoying it. She doesn't understand that part. Sometimes I take it because I need the creative outlet, and sometimes that's more important to me than the money, especially if I really love what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
That's an excellent point. This is so great. I asked her, this is a great question. All right, Bill, round it out. What you got?
Okay, so I got a little bit more information than Pam got when she bowed out. But I think part of it is like understanding, well, the budget one is super important. But I think when I'm pricing something, I'm also wanting you to realize like, okay, this is how long it's going to take me. So I got to design this first. So that's research and design, right? I got to make a pattern. In my process, it's also like I'm going to do a muslin fit on you, just make sure that it works. So there's that part of it. And then I got to make a dress and finish it in the time frame that you've allotted, right? So I add all of that up, and then I say, okay, plus the family discount.
That comes right off the top.
Exactly. Right. It's like, what does that put me at, right? So I'm looking at like some sort of silk, whether it's a silk charmeuse or double layer silk, double ply silk might be probably the best to give you the weight and stuff. But it's like that's going to give you at least $32 a yard, and you want yards and yards of it. So it's like, okay, so I'm thinking at least like 10 yards. So that's $320 already gone. Right.
So we reduce from a dress to a shirt, kind of.
There you go, baby. You get a scarf.
You get a scarf.
And that's what I want people to see, because our department store mentality, I've had the privilege of observing you all working up close. So I see how many hours goes into that, how many how much pain and suffering goes into that when the customer's like, oh, I didn't mean that, after they approve the sketch. There's so much that can go down in the design that I wanted to make sure.
From a manufacturing standpoint, if I'm manufacturing this and I'm doing this in China, that amount of time that I take to design that one piece, I can then divide that cost over 20,000 units. That's why you can get it so cheap,
right?
So it's like, now you're telling me to put all that cost into one unit and give it to you cheaper than you can buy it at the store.
Yeah, and we don't see custom design as something that is right. We don't see it.
What happens is people come into the store and they just see it there, and they're not aware of the process and all of the different jobs that it takes to get that one thing there.
And we're such dinosaurs. There's not a lot of us, so people don't have access to. Okay, not dinosaurs, but you know what I mean. I did the math. We almost a century of our expertise. Think about who else is doing it.
You all have added so much perspective. This set of interviews has moved to the top. This is so far the best set of interviews we have done in terms of offering such richness in perspective. So thank you all. And you have showed just this prismatic view of the fashion industry. All of your experience is a little different. All of your approaches are a little different. And especially this make me a dress for $500 example really does give us a highlight on your personality, your fashion personality. One last question, and then we will be out of here. And I would like for you to share with the people a movie or a song that has always screamed like it represents you in fashion, or it has inspired you.
What is it?
Oh, y'all ready for me to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, the movie Mame,
Huh.
Auntie Mame, the one with Rosalind Russell. She was very progressive. Her home was super ultra modern. She traveled the world. She was always about, helping people and being giving and wonderful and making everything happen. So I think that movie. Look
I
it up.
love it.
Mame.
Okay.
Mame with Rosalind Russell. Lucille Ball did it too, but she wasn't that great. And the
Okay.
clothes were better with
Rosalind Russell.
Yeah.
Mame. Excellent.
Mame.
Pam
Fabulous.
Lamarr, y'all have a movie or a
For
song?
me, it is always Prince, but the movie Pretty in Pink with Molly Ringwald. This dress that she made and wore to her prom. I was in the movie theater with Mama, and I drew this dress on a napkin, and I made it in turquoise blue.
That was the first of the drop waist.
Yes, honey, because your girl had a little belly too. I thought this was cute.
We saw that movie so many times.
I know, right?
For her to stand up on that screen. All right, Lamarr.
Let's see. Bringing Up Baby.
Really?
Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant.
Oh.
Bringing Up Ava.
Bringing Up Baby.
Bringing Up Baby. Oh, that was a great movie, wasn't it?
Yes, the fashion in that movie.
That's
I was
what
like,
people.
yes,
They were
yes,
close.
this is what I want to do.
They were close.
I
Oh my
love
God.
it. Thank y'all so much. This exceeded my expectations. Until we come back with our next episode, watch this again. Watch the last episode again. Keep gleaning and keep sharing these videos. And we will together make sure that people know that mentoring is leadership and leadership is everywhere.